Chess is a game of war, a fight to the death, a fight to the finish. Last man standing is the king that wins. How can a game of war teach us anything? The world of chess. Dr. Ed Mandel is the owner of All the King's Men Chess Club and Store. Ed is a chess teacher and runs the largest chess tournament in Michigan. We visit him at his store, and I asked Dr. Mandel why he wanted to open a chess club and store.
Well, I opened the chess store actually in a mall in 1998. What really prompted me was my son, who's now 34 years old, showed some interest when he was 13. And I started playing with him. I took him to another chess store that was in Ann Arbor. And he really got into it. And I volunteered to do a class at his middle school.
Why do you think it's important for people to learn the game of chess?
I was quite amazed at the amount of interest. I think, which is very true, that parents assume that chess would help their child in terms of analytical thinking and reasoning and concentration and so forth. And I've since learned that it helps a lot, even with kids who've had learning disabilities, that they were really able to improve. No matter what level they were at, they were able to improve significantly in school. Well, it certainly helps kids. We work with kids usually as young as 4 and 5 years old, although I just started working with a 3-year-old who is very bright but doesn't have a real long attention span. So we're working on a lot of things. With real young kids, you don't necessarily try to teach them all the rules of the game and how all the pieces move right at the beginning. You pick up certain parts and focus on that. But certainly it helps with things like focusing, concentration, analytical thinking, just starting to think ahead. What I do with all my students is in chess, when you touch a piece, you're supposed to move that piece. So I will frequently ask my students, as soon as they touch a piece, where do you think I'm going to move next? If they say, well, I'm not sure, or they start thinking about it too much, I'll say, well, that means you touched your piece too soon. You shouldn't be making your move or starting to make your move until you at least have a notion where you think I'm going to move next. No one always knows, or I guess you'd never lose a game if you always know what your opponent's going to do next. But you should at least have an idea, or maybe of a couple moves. You might do this or you might do that.
What are the different types of chess games chess players play?
Well, the fast game is generally called blitz. If both players use a clock and have to make all their moves in 5 minutes. There's other things like where they'll do what's called bullet chess, where you have to do all your moves in 1 minute. But there are players who are quite good at that. And there's a grandmaster who used to live in the Michigan area. He's now moved to Atlanta. But he used to play against experts and masters and give them about 15 seconds. He would give them 5 minutes to his 15 seconds and would usually win the games. So there are people who are quite good like that. And he was also very good at doing blindfold games where he would play often 6-8 players at one time. There's a Russian player who just broke the world record with, I think about 48 players at once blindfolded. I think he had about 3 losses out of that, and not real weak players, against him. he once was at our previous store, and he played 6 players, I think, at that time, and did have one loss. Ironically, the loss was against a good friend of his, so I don't know if he gave him his best game or what, but he was very good.